Where I was born, there were 10 people and about 10 million sheep. Well, you can imagine the witty and fascinating conversations we all had. So I ran away.
To England?
No. First of all, I went to Vienna to learn the piano. That lasted 6 months. Then I came here to train as a soprano. 10 months. And then I married Arthur. Crash, bang, wallop. 3 kids before I'd had time to wind the clock. Now I'm the Lady Mayoress of Cabbageville.
Oh.
You can't escape your fate. Where's your music, Sally?
Here.
Let's begin with the Beethoven, then. How's the stool? High enough?
Yes. Madge, are you sure I can't give you something?
What, you mean money? Oh, piss off. It's just for fun. Right. Now, how do we sit? Not like Quasimodo on a bell rope.
Sally.
Upright and perfectly relaxed. And 1, 2. Hey, stop. Now, first of all, what's the tempo indication?
Andante.
And what does andante mean?
Walking.
Right. The only time you'll catch me walking that fast is to Robert Redford's bedroom.
Sally.
You see, Sally, it's not enough just to play it. You've got to think yourself into it. Here you are, a sick old man living by yourself. No one visits you anymore because you're deaf and cranky. You're nobody's husband, nobody's father. You're just a musician who'll never hear your own music. So, one hot summer night, you're standing in your room by the window. Down in the street, you can see kids playing. Can't hear them, just see them. One of them's pretty. He might have been your own son if... But there aren't any ifs for you. Only certainties. The certainty that life is over, that death is just at your elbow. You feel what you most dread feeling. Tenderness. Perhaps even remorse. And you write a cradle song.
I love you. God, give it to me.
Now play it to me.
It's very dangerous, you know.
What is?
Smoking in bed.
I like living dangerously.
Seriously? It's a very common cause of accidental death in the home. And I don't want you to die, believe it or not. Man, it was just fantastic, you know that? You're a wonderful wife in every way. Good night.
Night.
Aha!
A wild man.
Guess what I found in the bathroom?
I can't guess. No, really,
Come
I can't.
on now, I'll give you 3
No,
guesses.
George, I just can't.
Was it a suitcase full of old favours?
No, I don't think.
Was it a marzipan facsimile of the crown jewel?
Yes.
No, it was... dirty rugby shorts!
Suppose that God existed, and suppose he said to himself, the Bible's a flop. Only a handful of people believe in me, and they're a bunch of idiots. So I'll have a second try. Only this time I won't write a book. I'll use a music typewriter instead. Perhaps then the world will know what I'm like. What he would type out, Sally, are the works of Bach all over again, and he wouldn't change a note. But all the same, 20 children. Oh, yes. It's all very well sitting in the organ loft, belting out some double fugue with inversion, augmentation, the whole works. But there's your missus flat out on the conjugal bed with her legs open, screaming her head off. Not much divine perfection there.
I'm sure that if I had only one slip, it would bar me terrifically too. But I get a kick, oh, such a kick.
My God. I mean, my God.
What's that?
Thousands more East African agents queuing up to come over here. I mean, honestly.
Where from?
Finland, Patagonia, and the Gilbert and Ellis Islands.
Oh.
Oh, she says. East African Asians?
I meant which country in East Africa.
Yes, dear.
Geography was my worst subject at school. Did I ever tell you about our geography teacher? She was called Hilda Twiss. Miss Twiss. She had this funny...
Yes, fine. We'll try that again tomorrow. You're getting really good.
Madge,
Yes?
I can't manage tomorrow.
Well, day after tomorrow then. Any day you...
No, I don't want any more lessons.
Ever?
No.
Okay, just as you like. Can I ask why? Is George being difficult?
No, it's not that. I suppose I'm bored with...
Okay.
George.
You know you are a ninny. A beautiful, adorable ninny. And I love you. Last night was just fantastic. You know that. Well, must be off.
When will you be back?
What time's lunch?
Oh, 2 o'clock. But you can come back whenever you like. 1, for instance.
Oh, no. Arthur and I have some things to chew over after the game. We're trying to set up that coup, remember?
Oh.
Ah, filthy lucre. I love it.
George.
Hey, what's the matter, pet? Well, you won't be lonely, will you?
Oh, no. No, Mummy's coming over later for an hour, but... Well...
My hat, you're pregnant!
Oh, God, no. No, please, just listen.
Well, I am listening.
You remember those music lessons Madge used to give me? Well, when you see Arthur, I wonder if you could drop a hint to him about whether she could start teaching me again.
Really?
I daren't ask her directly. She was rather upset, but well, I do want to take it seriously this time. In fact, next year I'd do the LRAM.
Oh. But why? I mean, what for?
I don't know. Perhaps I could start giving lessons myself. Here, say.
Here? What, you mean with a plate outside the front door?
No, through contacts.
But where will you find the time? What about the office?
Well, until the exam, I'd practice in the evenings, at weekends. And then afterwards I could give up that stupid job with all those stupid people and, well, teach. Or something.
Are you all right?
Oh, yes, of course.
Look, I must dash, but well, we'll talk about it later. Now, I promise. But my first reaction is that you've gone off your chump, my old love. Ta-da. Oh, Apropos, what is it?
What's what?
Well, lunch, of course.
Oh, roast beef.
Ah, Harry Yorkshires.
If you like.
I love you. VAT exempt, maximum profit. Well, what do you think?
Well, it's damn clever. It's also immoral. What's more to the point, it's illegal.
Oh, it's a bit knavish, perhaps, but well, it's hardly illegal.
What else can you call it? Waddling through customs at Geneva with 100 grand's worth of bills of exchange stuffed down your knickers.
Times like these, you take your chances or you go under.
Certainly, I agree.
Well, then.
But look at it this way. There's some open-hearted chap, a bit naive, perhaps, a bit lazy, definitely. He represents England. And like England, he's on hard times, you know, down to his last Bentley. Now, he lends you this Bentley, i.e. the money in question, thinking of taking your old granny for a Sunday spin to Birchington. But instead, you nip up to Coventry to go stock car racing in it. Now, if you win, there's a big prize. But, see what I mean? Is that a fair image of people like us and the nation's money?
Yes. Yes and no. I mean, racing a Bentley's just foolhardy.
Whereas we've got a good chance of getting away with it. Oh, don't get me wrong. Basically, my answer's yes. It'll just take a few days to sort out the details.
Ah, good
Yeah,
man.
but let me give you a tip. When things are bad, one's got to be, I don't say bent, let's call it slippery. But don't pull the wool over your own eyes, too. You'll end up not knowing what right and wrong are. Now, what we're planning is neat, but it's dishonest. Otherwise, why must nobody know except our contacts? Not even our wives. Well, you haven't told Sally, have you?
Good Lord, no.
No, you mustn't. Even though it's for the sake of our wives, we're prepared to go ahead with it. And kids, in my case.
50-50? Oh, come on, I thought of it.
65-35. Otherwise, it's not worth my while, lad.
But that's just extortion.
You must look at it from George's point of view. There's your job, there's housework, the garden, cooking your meals, entertaining your friends. Now, can you imagine, on top of that, practicing for an exam? Just think how exhausted you'll be. You can't be any sort of wife to George then, can you? Well, supposing you were going to have a baby.
I don't want babies.
Oh, let's just talk. What you mean is that after 5 years of marriage, you're frightened you might be barren. You look in your heart and tell me if that isn't true.
It isn't true. I don't want babies. Thought of them makes me sick.
What's the matter, Sally? Don't you love George anymore? Has he started running round, something like that?
I don't know. I doubt it. Quite honestly, I couldn't care less. I wouldn't blame him if he did. Every once in a while, I pack a suitcase, write a little note. Once I did actually make it to the train, but I got off again next stop. No. Grilling lamb chops in some bedsitter. Drawing the curtains, turning on the radio for the Saturday night play, alone in a room.
Perhaps if you saw your doctor.
Oh, yes, he might certify me, clap me in the loony bin to stop me running away.
What are you running away from?
I can't explain.
I'm not the man from Mars, Sally. Perhaps I might understand. After all, I did live with your father for 20 years, and he could be very difficult sometimes. In fact, most of the time. But he did his best. I still miss him.
Yes, but did you love him? Oh, isn't it funny how hard it is to... Did you like sleeping with him, I mean?
Yes. is that one?
Listen, Mummy. Hold on to your hat. You see, I'm in love with somebody else.
Oh, really, dear?
Yes.
Anyone I've met?
You see, George has this friend called Arthur, his partner in crime. He and his wife live just down the road. You remember she used to give me those music lessons. Well, they've got 3 children, a nice house, and they're perfectly happily married as far as I can tell.
And you're in love with him?
No, I'm in love with her.
Heavens.
Well, I've never told her. I've never told anyone before.
What do you mean, in love?
I mean in love. When I'm with her, I'm as happy as anyone possibly could be. But when I think about what separates us, I'd be better off in hell. Well, I cancelled the lessons because of it. I made some excuse. I think she realised eventually. In fact, I'm sure she did.
So, is she that way too, do you think?
That way? She doesn't wear pinstripes and a bowler hat.
Don't tease, dear. This is serious. At least I think it is.
So do I. So do I.
You'd want to live with her?
I don't know. Perhaps. Well, she used to be a singer, you see. And I thought that if I learnt to play properly. Oh, stupid.
Oh, Sally.
Another?
No. Take good care of your ulcer, and it'll take good care of you.
Oh, that's a treat I've still got in store. Tom.
I must say, I don't know how you manage it. Rugby yesterday, dazzling game of squash today, and God knows what in between. Presumably you and Sally don't spend the entire night rehearsing Wordsworth's ecclesiastical sonnets.
Yes. Do you know something, Arthur? Before I got married, I spent 6 weeks in the most agonising doubt.
Really? Over Sally?
Yet never for a second have I regretted it.
Make yourself lucky. Me and Madge. Wild horses wouldn't have dragged me from Caxton Hall. It was only later the doubts crept in. Doubts which over the years have ripened into glowing convictions.
Ah, it's a shame. No, I seem to be able to tell her anything, any funny little thing that comes into my head. You know what? As for sex, I mean...
Good, eh?
Last night was just fantastic.
Oh, so that's what it was. All our neighbours ran out into the road. They thought there was an earthquake. I've only had it that good once. Julia. She worked as a temp for 3 months in Threadneedle Street. She was a deb. It's right what they say. You can't beat the aristocracy when it comes to a quick tickle under the boardroom table. It'll never happen again. 3 months out of 70 years and 10 is not much, is it?
Oh, come on, Arthur. At least you've got kids to console you in your dotage.
That's true.
We've been on the job for ages and still not a peep.
Yes, of course. I shouldn't complain.
Yeah, it's funny, really. I mean, Sally seems healthy enough, and she's normal in most respects. Well, in every respect, but... Well, obviously something's amiss. Women, they're such complicated machines, aren't they? 1,001 things can go wrong.
She should see a doctor.
She has.
Then perhaps you should. Perhaps it's you.
Me?
Perhaps you're sterile.
What? Me? Sterile?
Why not? I once knew this chap, a runner. In fact, he used to run for England at the Olympic Games. Shoulders like this. Thighs like tree trunks. A magnificent specimen. And yet he was about as capable of procreation as a Nubian fan dancer.
I mean, sometimes, Arthur, you do go over the top a bit.
Don't get upset. I was only pulling a leg.
Yeah, well, it's a worry all the same. Sally, she's very brave about it, but... So I rather suspect that she feels that she's let me down. Well, disappointments like that can sap the moral fibre and even, well, knock you a bit, you know, off balance.
Is she off balance?
Well, it has crossed my mind. I mean, for example, this morning she says she wants Madge to teach her the piano again.
Look, why don't I, cons you bear me so, explain to Madge. Tonight, say, we could drop around accidentally on purpose. Madge could whisk Sally off to the kitchen, pop her on her knee and make her tell all. Madge is rather good at that sort of thing. Worming secrets out of people. Women especially seem to respond to her.
Okay.
Sometimes we fool ourselves. We know our spouses inside out. But how much can we know? Honestly.
That was simply astounding. Oh, dear. Why, it always makes me feel so sleepy.
Have you arranged your coup?
Yes. Oh, by the way, you're not supposed to know anything about that.
Oh.
So mum's the word, right? Yes, Arthur said he'd be willing to lend a hand for a small percentage. I must go to the quack tomorrow.
That's not like you.
No, get him to, syringe my ears.
Mummy sends her love.
Oh, yeah. How is she?
Oh, she's fine.
Well, they might pop round later tonight. Arthur and Madge.
Oh, good.
For drinks.
That's nice.
Harry Bedfordshire?
Well,
Oh, these maiden blushes, he'll become a wife. After all, we have the royal succession to think of.
well, I must do the washing up first.
Okay. Don't be long.
No. The only answer is a coffee-coloured world.
Oh, look here, let me fill that
No,
for you.
I'll take it neat.
And how would you go about that?
Planned miscegenation. In other words, forced marriages.
I thought you disapproved of state intervention.
In declining industries, yes. I very much doubt whether sexual intercourse falls into that category.
As in your case.
Perhaps I've just diversified my output.
Do what you like, chum.
And what's your answer, George?
Well, what we're talking about is a practical situation, so we've got to look at it in a very practical way.
All right. They're entitled to British passports by treaty. That's practical.
Sally, that isn't quite the same, is it?
Why isn't it?
Sally, have you any idea how great our balance of payments deficit is this year? Or how great it will be next year?
What's that got to do with it?
What's that got to do with it? I'll tell you what it's got to do with it. It means we've got our backs to the sodding wall. That's what it's got to do with it. Agreed, Arthur?
It's true.
I'm no racist from the backwoods. And God knows I'm no blind jingoist either. I mean, when times are good, fine. They do you like in black, brown, yellow, green with orange candy stripes, if you like. As long as they behave themselves and do a decent day's work. Collecting fares or carrying bedpans or whatever. But the state we're in now, if wanting at any cost to make this sick country well again is patriotism, then I am a patriot.
Patriot? You a patriot? Then what are you and Arthur doing smuggling all that money into Switzerland?
Got you there, George? Naughty boys?
Well, thanks a million, Sally. You've just lost us rather a lot of money.
Well, if you're a crook, it's no use sounding off like the village holy man, is it?
No, I suppose not. Not since your mole so much enjoys betraying confidences.
I better fill this.
Arthur, I'm dreadfully sorry.
Please. There's nothing.
Look, I'm sure we could still go ahead.
With Madge in the know. Not a hope. She'd like nothing better than to see me behind bars. Shall we Move on to the gin.
Your husband's a pompous, hypocritical buffoon. He and Arthur were made for each other. Come on, let's get pissed together. Do you want to talk about it? Or should I leave you to brood? This, in case you hadn't already guessed, is a put-up job. Arthur thought you might need a good old woman-to-woman. A dose of emotional paraldehyde from Nurse Madge.
Sometimes I could pick up a hatchet and drop it on his head.
Well, why bother when there's a front door to walk out of? Or is that very boring? I know I tend to be.
You were never boring.
But you stopped the lessons.
Yes. When did you realise why?
Some time later. Could I pitch a cigarette? Do you want to pick up where we left off? With the lessons, or does that present... Still, you know I can't do anything about it, don't you? Neither can you. Admit it. But it's very nice, all the same. Seriously, I'm very grateful. No, that sounds terrible. What I mean is, I do respond in my own little way. But what could we do about it? Could you imagine? Walks in the park, furtive embraces behind the bandstand. Be ludicrous. Or I'd feel it as such, as a loss of dignity. Life allows such little dignity anyway.
Rate of VAT, the chances are 8%.
Bet your life that needs more. So.
Well, indeed, 25% petrol, 25% on luxury. I mean, it's getting... It's out of the question. Well, of course, that is for the continent, isn't it?
I suppose.
It is, I think. But really...
Perhaps.
Perhaps what?
Perhaps when we're really ancient.
Yes. We'll live together then.
Two black widows of Lyme Regis, walking arm in arm along the prom.
Yeah, two old dears, tottering off into the sunset. Yes, I'd like that. In the meantime, perhaps we'd better stick to music. Those two. Let's wear them out. Let's taunt them and tease them and drive them to drink. Never give them a moment's peace. Let's nag them into an early grave. Here's to Lyme Regis.
You know, when she burst out like that, well, I simply couldn't believe it, you know, Arthur.
Up till now, laddie, you've just been lucky. I reckon the game's up. Take my advice. Try and grab the initiative.
How do you mean?
Give ground over something. Those piano lessons, for instance. With a bit of luck, she'll feel guilty over getting her own way.
Ready?
Ready.
Oh!
Right?
Right.
Well, Arthur and I, we thought we'd just go over to the Red Lion.
All right.
Well, is that all right?
I've just said it's all right.
Well, all right, there's no need to...
I can't